Welcome to my kitchen at It's Time to Cook. I'm Joyce. Today I'd like to share with you my formula for how to make your own vinaigrette, and this is a vinaigrette that I like to use with a green salad that has fruit in it. The first item on my recipe is 3 tablespoons of jam, jelly, or preserves of your choice. The second item is 2 to 3 tablespoons of vinegar, 6 tablespoons of oil of your choice, 1 teaspoon of Dijon or other prepared mustard, or you could also use a half a teaspoon of dry mustard, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of fresh ground pepper. I'd like to share with you some choices. For this vinaigrette, you're limited only by your imagination and the choices that you have in your pantry or in your refrigerator. And one of the places I like to look for these jams or jellies, etc., is the discount stores like TJ Maxx or Marshall's, Home Goods. Those are great places to find these specialty jams and jellies. For example, this is an interesting one, apricot ginger jam, and then I have one here that is wild Maine blueberry champagne jam, Smucker's red raspberry. You could use a marmalade, you could also use strawberry, etc. This jam is raspberry rhubarb, and today I'm going to be using in my vinaigrette this homemade. And a shout out to my sister for this homemade raspberry pepper jelly. This is going to give just that little bit of heat to my vinaigrette. So look around and be creative. Think about what kind of fruits and cheeses and maybe nuts that you're going to have in your salad, and which of these would work well for your vinaigrette. Your choice of oil is another way to make your vinaigrette uniquely your own. Olive oil is a good choice, extra virgin. This oil is avocado oil, and that's what I'm going to use today for my vinaigrette. I have a Meyer lemon oil. This oil is olive oil that has a Persian lime flavor to it. Grapeseed oil could be another choice, and vegetable oil. For the next ingredient, 2 to 3 tablespoons of vinegar, I would like to share with you some choices that I have in my pantry. This is a balsamic vinegar, and it has a white jalapeno lime flavor added to it. And from the same vendor, a balsamic vinegar with a white coconut flavor added to it. These add really unique flavors to the vinaigrette, and I found these in a little specialty shop. Then I have a pomegranate vinegar, and one of the favorites for me is this rice wine vinegar. It works well with so many flavors of the other ingredients that you add to the vinaigrette. And then my other choice is an apple cider vinegar. So let me show you how easy and how quick it is to make a vinaigrette. I'm going to start with 3 tablespoons of my pepper jelly that has raspberry flavor in it. And this is a fairly loose jelly, so it's going to make it much easier to mix it up. 2, and this is 3 tablespoons pepper jelly. I'm going to add my vinegar next, and for this vinaigrette, I'm going to use my rice wine vinegar, and I'm going to start with 2 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar. And when I taste it later, if I decide it needs a little more acid, an easy fix. 2 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard, and I'm going to shake it up just a little bit because sometimes the vinegar that's in the mustard will rise to the top. So 1 teaspoon. Just squirt that right in. Let that kind of level out a bit. And then I'm just going to use my finger. God gave us really good tools. And I'm going to take my finger and just get that mustard off into my bowl. Just rinse my fingers off here a minute. And the next thing I'm going to add is my 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. Again, I'll do a little rinse, dry that up. 1 teaspoon. And rather than measure a 1/4 teaspoon of fresh ground pepper, I'm just going to kind of estimate. So a few turns to get some pepper in here. The role that the mustard plays, besides adding flavor, is to kind of help emulsify the vinaigrette just a little bit so that the oil and the vinegar don't separate. So just stir that up with a whisk. You could also use a fork from your flatware drawer. It's coming together. And then the last item is our oil. And I have already pre-measured here a 1/4 cup of oil. The recipe calls for 6 tablespoons. So to make it quick and easy so you don't have to measure out 6 times, just measure a 1/4 cup in your liquid measuring cup. And when I do that, I kind of get down so that I can be at eye level and see when I get it at the correct line. And then I'm going to add 2 more tablespoons of my oil. And by putting this in a liquid measuring cup, you also have the little spout that makes it easy for you to add the oil in slowly, which is what we're going to do. So now, just slowly pour in and whisk as you go. And that's going to come together. And it's starting to thicken up a little bit because of that mustard. And that's the emulsification taking place. And then I'm going to set that aside. I'm just going to do a little taste test with my tasting spoon here. The vinegar gives it this kind of a little sharp taste to it. I can taste the jalapeno from the jelly. Yummy. So, instead of having that shelf full of salad dressing and vinaigrettes in your refrigerator, make your own for the kind of salad that you want to have. Next, I'm going to put together a composed salad and drizzle this oil on it. I'm going to make 2 different salads so that I can give you an idea of some variety that you can use. But before I start that salad, let me tell you about storing this vinaigrette. I like to use just little glass jars. This is a little jelly jar that I've recycled, and this is a jelly or jam jar that was purchased, and I thought it was a cute little jar, and so I just rinsed it out, washed it out and saved it. So I'm simply going to pour this vinaigrette over into the jar. And these are little 8-ounce jelly jars, and so you can see it makes just over 1/2 cup. Put the top on it, and you can store this in the refrigerator for probably 2 or 3 weeks. And when you get ready to serve it a second time, then all you have to do is just shake it up. A composed salad can be either put together on individual salad plates, or it can also be put together on a large platter that will serve several people. Let's talk about lettuce. I am known in my circle as a salad snob. I have a hard time dealing with purchased lettuce. So I'm going to give you some little tips about what I do to improve the odor, the taste, the freshness of these salads. This is a red leaf lettuce that I'm going to be using today, and it says it's hand harvested, washed, trimmed, and it's ready to eat. No, not for me. It's not ready to eat. Before I eat this lettuce, I have to wash it, and I have to make sure that it's nice and crisp. So this salad came in a vacuum pack with this little plastic over it, and I've already taken that off, and I took out some lettuce leaves, and these are beautiful pieces of lettuce. They're nice and crisp, they're really curly, they're going to be beautiful on my plate, and they have good vitamin content in these. So what I did first was I selected some leaves, and I put them in a salad spinner, and I rinsed them off so that I could inspect every leaf to make sure there was no decay or little slimy pieces on it. Washed it, spun it out, then I put it out onto some paper toweling so that it could dry further, and you can actually do a little pat on it and blot it if you like to get some more water off. And then I stuck that in my refrigerator. So when I make a salad for dinner, I usually let that be my first prep. If you're doing, say, a leaf lettuce like iceberg, which I personally never use, but iceberg or some other, maybe a romaine that's not as crisp and fresh as it should be, you can pre-wash it and you can put it in a bowl of ice water and let it sit for just a minute or two, and that will help to plump it up. So the reason I wash it is because when it is processed, even though they pre-washed it, when they process it, they often use chlorine or ozone in their chemical processing of the washing, and it kind of tends to leave an odor to it, and for me, a very distinct smell to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my plate over, and I'm going to put a couple of nice sized pieces on the bottom of my salad plate because this is a composed salad, and this is going to make a little bed for my salad. Let me get that paper toweling out of the way. So I'm going to have, say, 3 pieces, and I like to just put them in so that this part of the lettuce is in towards the center, and I have the curly leaves out on the outside. And then I'm going to remove it from my paper towel, and I'm just going to do a rough cut with my knife, kind of a chiffonade cut, a little slice, and that makes the salad easier to eat. My salads tend to grow as I put them together. So I think that's an apple lettuce. So for now, I'm going to put this aside. And back to that washing bit. Only wash what you need, because if you wash and then put the remainder back in the refrigerator, it will deteriorate much quicker. So I'm going to set this one aside, and the next one I'm going to make with some spinach. I did the same thing with my spinach. I have hand washed it, I picked through it, cold water, spun it out in my salad spinner, put it in some paper towel, kind of blotted a little bit, covered it over, and put it in the refrigerator. So it's been in the refrigerator probably for half an hour or so. So I'm simply going to put this down on my plate, and this is going to make also a bed for the remaining components of my salad. I'm going to make the salad with red leaf lettuce using a gala apple And I'm simply going to slice my apple in very thin slices. For my spinach salad, I'm going to use some strawberries. I'm going to take this strawberry and I'm going to put my knife point down into the center, and I'm going to turn the strawberry using my thumb as a guide, and I'm simply going to take the leaf end out of the strawberry. Then I'm going to take my paring knife and I'm simply going to cut some little thin slices. Put those back together on this salad. Do another one, same way. And I'm going to use one for a garnish on the center. So I'm going to leave the stem, the leaf end on this one. I'm simply going to make those little cuts in toward the stem but not through, and I'm going to lay that on the side here for now, because later I'm going to use it as a garnish when I finish up my salad, and the person eating this salad can simply pick it up and eat the whole strawberry like that if they choose to. The second component for my composed salad is dried cranberries for my apple salad. A few dried cherries for my spinach strawberry salad. The dried fruit along with the fresh fruit just gives a little bit more texture to the salad with chew. And then the third component I'm going to add is cheese. I'm going to add a feta cheese, crumbled feta, to my apple salad. Just sprinkle that on. That is going to add a nice tart component. The composed salad is a good way to get a lot of variety. And for my spinach strawberry salad, I'm going to add queso fresco. This is a soft crumbling cheese. So I just open it up and I just cut off a chunk and simply just make some little crumbles. And you can make those as large or as small as you like. I like it for them to be just a little bit bigger so that they're easier to pick up with a fork when you're eating this salad. Then I'm going to add a nut component, again, for a nice crunch. So I'm going to add my walnuts to my apple cranberry salad. And some candied pecans to the salad. Nice crunch texture and also a different flavor profile. Lastly, I'm going to drizzle on some vinaigrette, but first let me put just a tiny bit of pepper. Again, flavor addition. Just a very small pinch of salt to bring up the flavor. Give the vinaigrette a stir. I'm going to switch over to a little sugar shell. I think it's like the perfect little tool for doing a little drizzle. You want to put a vinaigrette on usually at the very last before you serve the salad, unless you're using something that might have kale, and often the vinaigrette goes on a kale early so that it helps to soften up the kale. I hope my sharing today has created a creative spot for you, and you have seen how easy it is to make your own vinaigrette and the possibilities of a plated salad. The plated salad says, welcome to my table. There is going to be good food to follow after the first course. And it's also a way for us to encourage our families to get their 5 a day fruits and vegetables. Thank you for joining me here at It's Time to Cook. I hope I'll see you again soon.